have slides as well that we can share with you. And so we also have a bunch of some previous items. And I think actually what I'm going to do here is I'm going to share my screen. And I would also like to invite, let's see here, how about, let's see, Ali, actually one thing, can you click the record button? I realize I can't click the record button too. You might be able to do that.
Yeah, let me do that.
Okay, thank you. Yep. You can just record on the computer. And then, so how about Carrie, would you like, I don't think Michael is on it. So maybe Carrie, would you like to introduce yourself? And
Yes, I would be happy to. Thank you so much, Ryan. Good morning, everyone. Welcome to this presentation. My name is Carrie Singer, and I am with Denver Economic Development and Opportunity, so your local government here in the city and county of Denver. We've partnered with Green Hats Web Solutions for many years now, and they have so many valuable topics that they present to the business community, and we're so happy to be in this partnership. I'd like to start just by telling you a little bit about Denver Economic Development and Opportunity and the role that I have with the organization. So the city has a lot of fantastic business resources. So again, it sounds like many of you are just starting out and have some successes under your belt. The city has, just to give you a very brief rundown, a small business lending program. So if you anticipate that you'll be in need of outside capital at some point in time, the city may be a resource. We also work very broadly with many local lenders, so we're happy to have that conversation at any point in time. Secondly, Denver has a couple of tax credit programs. So if you're doing business here in the city and county of Denver, you may be able to take advantage of those tax credit programs. Next, workforce development. You know, as you grow your business and garner that momentum, if you're looking to hire, there may be resources available at the city level, particularly financial resources, grant monies, to reimburse you for bringing jobs to the economy. And then last of all, I'll mention our certification program. If at any point in time you're interested in learning whether or not certification may be right for your business, we can definitely provide one-on-one consults. Certainly there are a lot of opportunities for government contracting if ever you've considered the government as a potential customer. And then next, I just kind of want to segue very briefly into the work that I do with the Commons on Champa. So the city co-founded the Commons on Champa. The Commons is, while it's not currently open due to COVID, it's really a hub for entrepreneurship. So there are office suites for lease, desks for lease. During pre-COVID times, there was public co-working, but right now all of our programming has gone virtual. So there are a lot of wonderful kind of technical assistant workshops, much like we're talking about here today. So check out the events tab, check out the calendar tab, and then I'll also point out that there's a whole team of business advisors who make themselves available Monday through Friday from 9 to 5. The appointments can be made online via the Commons on Champa's website, but I will also go ahead and share some of this information via the chat. So please feel free to take advantage of the free business advising that's available in the community. Thanks, Ryan.
thank you very much, Carrie. Everyone, I just have to say that Carrie is so nice to work with and a very helpful resource. So please do reach out to her with any of your business questions. My own business, Green Hat Web Solutions, has used Carrie's help, and the Commons on Champa. It's a great place. So, okay, now we're going to talk about SEO for e-commerce. And again, we welcome comments and questions as we go. My name is Ryan Masterson. I am the CEO and co-founder of Green Hat Web Solutions. And there are a few SEO agencies here in town as well that we've had the opportunity, I've either personally worked at, or we've partnered with, or we serve in some capacity, including Volume 9, Blue Moon Digital, and Room 214. So I do enjoy making connections and look forward to engaging with you as well. Today, we're going to be talking about, first of all, we're going to talk about the product page. And then we're going to talk about the user experience for e-commerce. We're going to take a look about how to use social media for your e-commerce experience. We're going to talk about snippets and the expanded SERP. The SERP is search engine results page, and and a lot of, because that has really changed over the years. We're going to talk about how to write good content, what really matters, including how to get authority in your industry, and what are some big things coming for SEO in the future that you could already start preparing for. Okay, so the first thing here is to talk about the product page. So if you are using something like Shopify, which I did hear a lot of people are, as well as WooCommerce from WordPress, a lot of this will be really easy and to implement. In fact, it kind of comes like the default standard out of the box. But let me just say real quick that you need to have a unique URL for each product. And I say this because sometimes it is possible to embed things with an e-commerce on your page. If you have it on your site, you can kind of like use some third-party tools like even Amazon and embed things on a page, but they might not have their own unique URL. So you do want to have your own unique URL for your product page. Now, when it comes to the variations, this is something that that really depends on your business. So for example, if you are selling, how about like, what does this say for this example, some tennis shoes, and do you want to have the different variations have their own unique URLs, or do you want to have like the different colors like red, green, blue, all within the same one? So that is going to be a decision that you can make. But the most important thing is that in general, each product should have its own unique URL, and then which may not include some of the variations. We also want to have a unique page title and a meta description for that each product. This will really help you. So some of you may already be doing this. As some of you may already know, a page title should be around 60 characters or less, and a meta description should be around 150 characters or less. And some of those numbers can change a little bit, but this is the opportunity for you to, this will often be a person's first experience of seeing your product is by the page title and the meta description. And I'll point this out later too in one of my later slides. We also want to make sure that your product URLs are in your XML sitemap. And if you are not sure what an XML sitemap is, it is something that only search engines access, so your customers never will. But it tells the search engines what's on your site. And it's if you want to do a test to see if you have an XML sitemap, just go to your domain. So domain, like frankshotdogs.com/sitemap.xml. So I'll say it again, frankshotdogs.com/sitemap.xml. That's something you can check. If you don't have a sitemap, an XML sitemap, I recommend working with your developer or something to get one. And you want to make sure that each of your products are included in that sitemap. And as for your category URLs, you may want to include them as well, or you may not. The category kind of depends on how big your business is, how many different products you have. Sometimes categories are very helpful. Other times you may only be selling a few products where categorization is not needed. And lastly, for this slide here, I want to say that make sure your inventory is accurate on the website. There's a good quote that I found when I was preparing for this that a user put on Reddit, and I think is really applicable here. He said, developers will either 404 a page, which means it will be like a not found, or just let it sit as out of stock and then create a whole new URL when the item comes back in stock. It's infuriating. So what that means is if an item is out of stock, market appropriately in your e-commerce tool is out of stock, but don't change the URL. When it comes back in stock, use that same URL because because the age of the URL can help help its page authority. So, all right. Again, if you have any questions, please feel free to jump in, and I'll go on to the next slide. So, your shopping cart and checkout experience needs to be great. And here is a really good blog post on 20 common UX mistakes in e-commerce websites that I wanted to talk about. And I actually, out of these 20 items, I pulled in my favorite. And because there's a lot you can kind of follow on your own after this as well. But I just kind of want to talk about 4 of them that were really good. And actually, the last one on there, number 20, was one of my favorite ones. Leaving out security. So what this means is that security is a really big deal to people these days. And one of a great way to give someone a really good experience on your e-commerce site is to make sure that you are considering their security. And what that means is, first of all, your site should definitely have an SSL certificate. What that means, and in fact, it's the URL should be HTTPS / so or colon / so like if you don't have an HTTPS, I think that's something you need to fix immediately. And if you do, that will leave people more secure about putting in their credit card information. So a lot of these days, HTTPS is so common, SSL certificates, that you can even sometimes get them for free through your hosting provider, whether it be like GoDaddy or something like that. I mean, I imagine that Shopify kind of does it by default, and so it's not even really a question for Shopify. I think that's just a default procedure, but that is something you want to do for sure. So if you don't have HTTPS in your URL, get it. Make sure you do. Also, speaking of that, make sure that even sometimes it's possible to have an SSL cert in HTTPS, but it's still possible to access your website without the S. And check to see if you can do that. Because you shouldn't. What you really need to do is you or your developer need to make it so that the HTTP version of your website automatically redirects to the HTTPS. So you can just do that little experiment yourself. You type it in there, HTTP, and see if it automatically redirects. It should. You want it to. Regarding having www in your domain or not, that's totally optional. You're welcome to include it. You're welcome not to include it. It does not have any impact on SEO at all. In fact, actually, since I'm talking about the domain, let me even tell you too right now that the domain name you choose does not have any impact on SEO at all. The domain name, I mean, back in the day, it used to be, but now it's the influence of that is so minuscule that it's just worth saying that it doesn't matter. You can have any domain name you want. It doesn't matter. Okay, so the next thing I'd say is I think you always need to have more than one image for your products. And this is something that if you can take the time to kind of do some extra photography, get some different shots, different angles, people will really appreciate that. And I think it's underutilized. I still, even today, I see a lot of e-commerce sites with just one picture on there. And yeah, it works, but you really could offer your visitors a lot more by taking some different angles and doing that. So it's a good one to point out. Number 7 on this particular list was making people have a compulsory account, meaning that they can't purchase a product without actually creating a user account on your website. So I think that this is a good, this is actually one where you may not do it. It's not something that you have to do. And in fact, I would be curious, would anyone like to just honestly share right now if you force users to create accounts on your website when they purchase something, or if you yourself like or don't like that. Some people hate that you have to create an account. Some people just want to check it out as a guest. Would anyone like to share their opinion on that?
I
I
personally
prefer
don't
to
like
not
sharing
have
one.
to.
Yeah.
Yeah, same.
Yep. And I think that that's fine. I think that this is just something that, to offer a good experience, I think it's nice to where you can allow someone to not create one. So yeah. All right. Number 5, keeping contact details under wraps. This is basically just saying that it can really help you by your business by allowing people to contact you. It doesn't mean if you're selling things out of your home, obviously you don't need to put your home address on there, and you shouldn't. I don't encourage that. But allowing people to contact you though with their questions could go a long way. Because we are becoming the business is becoming more in such a way where we're having these one-on-one contacts with our customers. And then one thing that was not on this list that I thought about and just kind of wanted to add is that make sure that you can easily add or remove items from the cart, or even increase the quantity, like from 1 to 2 or 2 to 3 or back down to 1. This is actually something that can really be a bad user experience if that is not there. So I would add that. And there are some others, but those are just some of my favorite ones to mention. I would also really highly recommend that you always showcase related products. And so this screenshot here, it might be a little bit difficult to see, but they're looking at a cell phone case right here. And then down below in this red box, I highlighted in this red box is like, are these items that kind of relate to this? Using related products is very smart. I personally, when I'm buying something online, sometimes I see something in the related products and I agree. I'm thinking, yeah, I should have that too. Or that makes a lot of sense. And so I'll get that. So I think that's a really good way to improve your e-commerce sales, is to take advantage of related products. So I just want to call that one out specifically.
It's a dangerous one for me on Best Buy.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. Yep. Dangerous. I agree. Dangerous on Best Buy. And yep, you're right. Okay. So now I want to shift a little bit to trends in social media. As I just said in like 2 slides ago, that you need to have the ability for people to contact you. And this is becoming more and more common. And chat bots and live chat are really becoming like the norm in e-commerce. And I recommend you do this. And if you're using WordPress and WooCommerce, you can very easily install a plugin that allows you to have a live chat functionality. And then Shopify offers that as well. And so, and even if your site was totally custom, like PHP or something, you can still usually add some code in there that'll allow you to use a service, like a third-party service, to do that. So I do recommend that. That could help increase your sales, is by having. Also, it helps to make the business look just a little bit more legit. And looks are important, especially in e-commerce. People are going to judge you on your website. They are going to make some decisions on whether they trust giving their credit card to you based on how legitimate of a business you appear to be. Live chat can actually help that. We also, lately have seen social media or social messaging take over social media channels as well, like traditional ones. So there's just a lot of ways to connect with your customers on that. As you may know, video is extremely popular. And in fact, YouTube is the world's second biggest search engine after Google. And some of you may have already heard this, but I just kind of want to make sure I clarify what that means. What that means is that people are going to YouTube to search for things. Like, you have options. You can search for something on Google. You can search for something on Bing. You get on Yahoo or others, but I'm saying that YouTube is actually second after Google. So big opportunity for e-commerce as well to attract people through YouTube videos. And then from your YouTube channel, you could link to your store and get some clients through that. So I wanted to say that Google has time and again denied that likes improve search rankings, but The evidence suggests otherwise. This is just a little video here of a quick farm in China where someone can pay for this Chinese company to put a bunch of false likes on their or fake likes on their social media stuff. I'm not saying you should necessarily go to this extreme, but I am saying that it is kind of humorous if people have never seen something like this. But I just want to say that, you know, social media does matter and it can help. And I would say, yeah, do what you can to increase your likes, because although Google says and tries to suggest it doesn't really impact search rankings, evidence suggests otherwise. All right, so now we're going to talk about some social card validators. This is a really important thing. I think that maybe up until now, a lot of people have kind of heard maybe a lot of the stuff that I've talked about already. And but this is kind of an opportunity that some people might not be aware that this exists. And I think this is a great tool. So I really just want to spend a little bit of time introducing this to you. You can actually test to see how your products look on Facebook and Twitter through these little tools here. So I'm going to just do one for you. So would anyone like to share a link to one of your products? Like, for example, if you want to put a link to your product in the chat that I can use as an example here in these tools, I will. So just go to your website, click on a product, and send me the URL of that product in the chat. And I will I'm gonna run this little test here for you. See if anyone wants to do that. Oh, okay.
I sent a link for one of mine.
Good. Yes, I see it. Thank you. All right. So we got one. So Samuel put one. And now we're going to test to see how that looks. So what this does here, this says that this allows me to see, okay, on Twitter, if I were to post this product right now on Twitter, I would see that this is kind of how it would look. I could write in my own text for it, but this is kind of what Twitter would automatically, put this. And so immediately what I notice is that there's not an image here. So Twitter is not finding the featured image. Now let's now do the same thing here with Facebook. So, okay, here in this case, it did find the image here. And so it found the page title, and it has a little description about it. So this is good. That's good. It looks like that's working pretty good. So here's the title, and then the description looks really good. Yep. Okay. And then here's the image that it found for that. So that one worked. So when someone goes to share this on Facebook, this is how it would look right here. This is a cool tool that you and your developers can use to really test to make sure that your products work. So I recommend doing it. So for example, now we just discovered that, well, we need to kind of look to see, double check to make sure the Twitter one is working as well the way we want. So it's a nice little tools to take advantage of. Thank you for sharing, Samuel. All right.
Yeah, and just quickly, do you know, because I am, Shopify is the platform that I use. Do you happen to know off the top of your head how you can make, like, where to go to ensure that your main product image is showing up across platforms?
Unfortunately, I don't know that one. I do know for WordPress, if we're doing this with WooCommerce, and actually what I would recommend to people is to install Yoast SEO plugin, or Yoast is actually the one that we use most frequently here. And there's a when you're on the post page, you can click on a tab for the social, and then on the tab you can set the images, the titles, and the descriptions manually, and you can override the default ones, especially with this too. So I assume there's something like this in Shopify. Unfortunately, I don't know that one right off the top of my head, but yeah.
And you're saying that the plugin Yoast allows you?
But Yoast is for WordPress sites, so that would not be applicable. I don't think they have one for Shopify. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. Okay, now we're going to talk about snippets and the expanded search engine results page, or SERP. So these days, there's the SERP page includes so much information, much more than it used to. Like for example, like when you do like a search, excuse me, for flannel shirts, it's gonna if Google detects that it might be shopping related, it's going to give you some opportunities to shop directly, or it's going to display this in a featured area right here. And that's not the only thing too. Nowadays too, we have ratings and we have videos that appear in the SERP page. We have things that like other related questions that appear in the SERP page. And then down below, we have things that maybe relate to places, and here again are related searches. I mean, all this stuff is like there's just so much more, on the SERP. It used to just be, very simple. It's just growing now to include so much stuff. We even have, like, for example, in these recipes, something like how long it takes to prepare or how many calories it is. And if you're selling your smoothies, this could be an opportunity where you even could display how many calories your smoothies have online that you're selling and stuff like that. So how do you take advantage of this stuff? How do you get like all this information here, and here your ratings and all stuff in Google? Like how do you get that? So that's what I'm going to talk about next. So one thing that you should do is you should add schema markup. And if this is probably something that Shopify does by default, though I would have to, I don't know for sure. WooCommerce, I believe, does not provide it by default, but we have to add a plugin for it. I'm not too sure which ones of these sites offer them by default or not, but it can be done, and this can help. So basically what a schema markup is, it's similar to like a XML sitemap, whereas it's something that your users never see, but it's just a way to communicate with the search engine crawlers directly about what may be helpful, or information about your products and about your store, something that they might find helpful. And there are some tools to even test this. So for example, here is this right here, this link to test your structured data, which is called schema markup. You can go to search.google.com/test/rich results. And in fact, we can do that here right now too, and do this together. We'll take Samuel's test again here, and we'll try this out. So I just put Samuel's URL in this test, and it's going to look for how well the page is ready and enabled for rich results. And rich results is basically all the stuff that appears like in Google around like the like the videos, the ratings, all stuff. And the good news, Samuel, is that your page passed. And so and here we can kind of see, so it is detecting that, okay, it is a product. I mean, this is important just to say right here, this is a product. And I say that this is important because, I mean, this really is a big thing. If you're trying to, let me go back here. If you're trying to get like your product to be right here at one time, it's only going to happen if your search engines clearly recognize that what they're looking at is a product and not like a post, for example, not a page. So let me go back to, let's see here, this right here. So it recognizes the name of it. It's a thing, and here's the description. So it looks like Shopify probably already did this for you. And here it says what the price is, even the currency, and the in stock. And so yeah, it looks like Shopify is already providing this schema code for you. So that's good. That's good. So I would recommend testing all your product pages in this tool. And if you even want to try to add in some other things that are available, you can as well. For example, you could add the SKU. You could add review information. In fact, so what this is saying is that you currently don't have any reviews, or that it's not finding any reviews, at least no rating. and there's no global identifier. So and all of these are optional, but recommended, and I recommend them.
What is a global identifier?
The global identifier might be like, like when you check out or buy a book, how like you can either tell the person at Barnes and Noble, you can either tell the name of the book, or you can actually tell them the ISBN number. And it's kind of like, just like, it's like if it relates to your industry, good. If it doesn't, don't worry about it. It's basically something like, is there some sort of ID number? ISBN is an example of that. Your particular thing may not have, that may not be applicable to you.
Hi, can we check my
Yes.
web page? I mentioned the URL in the chat.
Yeah, good. Thank you. I will. Okay. Yep. Is it this Ritzkin or
Rich Tech Global?
Yeah. Okay. Yep. First of all, here, do we have do you have a product page?
No, it's not a product. It's a service-based organization, and this web page is made with the help of GoDaddy.
Okay. Okay. Yeah. Well, sure. No problem. Well, yeah, I'll do that. Yes. Real quick. I'll put it in all three of these test tools here for you real quick. Let me just take a look. Oh, actually, you know what? It's making me, hold on a second. I got to get the full URL. Got to come back here. Let me see that here. Yeah, plug it in. Okay. All right. Well, those are loading. Let me go back to the Facebook one. So yeah, it found this as your photo. And I wonder if that was like one of your, okay. Yep. Okay. This is taken right from the hero section. Yeah, it okay, yes, helping you design success. It did find that, so that's good. It says, yeah, located here, US. Yep, here we updated time. So, okay, good. And for Twitter, yep, it's fine. So this is like, so something that I would recommend here is go ahead and make your meta description a little longer. You have 150 characters to talk about your business. So I recommend being a little bit more specific about what you do, because some people will they'll look at this and they will look, and there's nothing here that tells me, not your name, nor your meta description, nor the domain name, nor even the picture that tells me what you do. So I think that's my recommendation to you, is like, if you have four opportunities to communicate about your business right up front. And you have like this, well, 1, 2, 3, 4, the fourth being the picture. And at least one of them should really do good in describing what your business is or what it does. Right now, it doesn't really provide any information. So it said too that this page was not enabled for rich results. So you may need to get some schema markup on that and other things.
So like, what do you mean by rich results?
So rich results are all this stuff that comes in the SERP, that you see in the SERP, like ratings, reviews, and time to prep, calories, stuff like that. Like, this is a rich result. This is a rich result all right here. These ratings and reviews. Yeah. So it's not, and it's saying that your page is not really ready for that. It's saying it will still show up in the search engines. It's not saying that it won't show up in the search engines. It just won't. It's not enabled for rich results, which can make the search experience even better.
So according to your opinion, like, what we should do to bring the page up?
Okay. Yep. All right. I will get into that. Yeah. Okay. Let's talk about that.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah. Okay. So one thing, let's talk about getting people to write reviews for you is really helpful. It will go a very long way to write reviews and even rate your product. If you can, it's becoming more and more important. So like, if you could ask your customers on a regular basis, incentivize them, maybe like, give them, like, if they write a review, you could give them like a 10% coupon on their next purchase or something. like give them an incentive, but that will really help your, and it's going to, and it's going more in that direction. Google, this is the direction that they want to go in. They want, people to kind of inform other people. And so that's a big opportunity to get that. Make sure your inventory is accurate on your product page, as we discussed a little bit about. And if you have a physical storefront too, you make sure that your address is in the same format everywhere that you have it, not in different formats, that your phone number is present, stuff like that. Okay, so one opportunity to also take advantage of like the more expanded SERPs is to take advantage of featured snippets. Featured snippets are really powerful because it's basically Google answering someone's question themselves without them having to click through to your page, or sometimes it's a question, maybe something like that. So like, for example, in this Google search, how to make hard-boiled eggs. So Google is actually taking in text from this page and they're displaying it themselves with the picture even. And they're displaying it on themselves for the person, so the person doesn't even have to click on this. So like featured snippets are pretty cool. And I want to show you how to do that, how to get a featured snippet. And first of all, there are 4 types. There's a paragraph, which this one is a paragraph. There's a list. A list would be like a bullet list or a numbered list, a tables, and YouTube snippets where it's a video. So if in this one here, actually, let me see if did I have a, oh, you know what, okay, so unfortunately I forgot to put in a slide here, but if it was like a list, in this next one here, we have a featured snippet that's a list, though that's not showing up here. And the way they do it is with, this might get a little technical, but you need to use like OL tags and LI tags. OL means ordered list, or UL can mean unordered list, and LI means line item. So for example, I'll just kind of explain this. This is a screenshot of a web page. And on the Google search, it was like, what are the best SEO tools? And then in the featured snippet one, it said 1, Ahrefs, SEO keyword tool. 2, Google Search Console, top SEO tool. And then 3, and then so forth. And the way they achieved that is because they were really conscious about the actual HTML code that they used here versus OL, or using like ordered lists. So you can see here, it's getting it. So there's an OL, which stands for ordered list. Then the line item is like this whole thing here. And then within the line item, there's an H3, a heading, and it's Ahrefs SEO keyword tool. That's the heading 3. And so what Google did is actually pulled that out and then displayed that in the featured snippet results. Here are some more resources to do featured snippets. And so I know that let me pause real quick. Does anyone have any questions about featured snippets or more about the expanded SERPs?
So when it comes to like, as you mentioned about the SEO tools and this featured snippet tools, so like which tools are really the best ones, and like they are free according to your opinion?
Okay, well, Google Search Console is free, and yes, it's a great tool. So I really recommend Google Search Console. That can give you some good insights. So that would be that's one recommendation. Ahrefs is not free, and Ahrefs is really good. There's also Moz Pro and like SEMrush, but those are paid tools. So I would just say, to start off with, if you can just master Google Search Console at first, you'll be on the right track. Okay, now one thing about let's see here, about the snippets. This is just to say that like sometimes the page doesn't even have to rank #1 in order for the feature snippet to be displayed. So for example, like on this one, this Google search was top SEO strategies. And the page was, and this featured snippet was being pulled from this HubSpot page. But this HubSpot page wasn't even #1 on the Google organic search. It was actually like #3. So for example, you know, is like right here, but you can still, so featured snippets is a really cool way, in other words, to basically usurp the number one, you're getting above it, even if you're not number one yourself. So that's kind of a nice thing to do. Okay, so one of the earlier questions was, how do we get our pages to rank higher? What are some things to do? For that, one important thing to do is to really write some good SEO content. And so my suggestion to you is to write your content to fill a gap. In other words, like look to see what's already there. Do your research on keywords, but and look to see what already exists, and then write to be better than that. I think that's a really big recommendation that I have. Like, do your homework and look to see what other related products are out there. It's, for example, smoothies. You know, if you're selling smoothies, or even the herbs. You know, the you know, medicinal herbs and all that stuff. You know, look to see what someone else has written about it, and then you write something that's better than that. And if you're looking to do some planning on how to, like, what keywords to use, this is a free tool that you can use, the keyword planner. However, you might have to have a Google account just to use it. And it can help give you suggestions on what kind of keywords to use. So for example, I can maybe do a quick test here. Let's see here. I'm going to say, we're going to try chamomile and valerian root. And we'll say sleep herbs. Okay. And this will basically give you, it's gonna tell you, okay, around the keyword chamomile gets around 1,000 to 10,000 searches per month. And it's actually a low competition. And it even tells you like what the average cost is to do a PPC campaign that would, and how much that cost per click would be. And then it has lots of different ideas. This is where it's so good. Like, okay, ashwagandha. So if someone is looking for chamomile and sleep herbs, maybe they're also looking for ashwagandha. So here's, or valerian root. So like, so using like these kind of tools can really help you get ideas of like what people are looking for, and then what to write about, like, or herbal remedies for sleep. And then you can see like how competitive that is. And if you want to do that. So this is also another tool that can help you out. Keywordtool.io kind of helps you figure out what search engines are auto suggesting. It's kind of nice. And then you can, so I would say focus on quality, not quantity. And one thing too is you could recycle old content. A lot of you may have, or some of you said you had some new businesses, but if you have like an old business and you have like an old website with pages that are really old and they're just not doing good in search engines, I actually recommend pruning them, getting rid of them. It doesn't really help to have old useless pages that don't really have a lot of SEO value and that never really got a lot of traffic, to have them stick around. You might as well prune them or remove them. And then if you want them, you can reuse that, you kind of that content in like a new, better way and give it like a new URL.
And Ryan, Marjorie was wondering if the search volume results are different, if you spell the search term differently. So if you spelled chamomile with like the correct spelling versus incorrect spelling, is that going to affect the search results?
Well, I would say that no. I'm gonna see here. Like, I mean, it may not find it right here. Let's see if I. Okay. Okay. Well, so yeah. So Google is now smart enough these days that it will try to correct the misspellings for you. So, in fact, actually, yeah. Go ahead,
Ryan. The correct spelling though is CHAMO. Yeah, so that, and it doesn't seem to be recognizing that.
Well, Yeah, what this tool here is for anyway, actually, I mean, I'm glad you asked this question. This is kind of really more for helping you plan and giving you ideas on what you could try to write a page for. So for example, like if I was using this tool, if I was trying to sell chamomile, what I'm looking for in this, what I'm trying to get from this is I just kind of want to see what's like the search volume for this. And you're right. So, I mean, well, like it, I think that it's noticing that these are maybe different spellings because I do notice the different bid amounts right here. So, um, and well, one reason for that is actually you could also do PPC campaigns for words that are misspelled, actually. So, but anyway, the point with this keyword planner tool is that it can give you ideas on what to write about. So, for example, if you're trying to sell chamomile and you are looking for ideas on what to write about it, how about this? How about you write a blog post on chamomile tea for babies? So in other words, like you're taking your keyword and then you're using this tool to get ideas on something to write about. And here it just gave you like a good suggestion. How about you write a post about chamomile tea for babies? And there you go. Okay.
And we had one more question as well. Dylan was just asking if Green Hat does site audits.
Yes, we do website audits. Yes. Yep. For SEO. Yes. So yeah, let me know. I'll send my contact information after this too, and we're happy to help you. You know, a lot of this information, you know, we just enjoy meeting new people and distributing out for free because it's kind of like our way to give back to the community. But of course, yes, we are available to help you out too if you'd like. And we would love to know that. So, okay. So what really matters, here's actually some really good information from backlinko.com on search engine rankings. And they did like a really big study of 11.8 million search results. And they were really looking at what really matters for SEO. Now, one thing I want to say though, is that what really matters for your ranking in SEO may not always correlate with what really matters for a good user experience. For example, number 4 here, we found no correlation between page loading speed and first page Google rankings. In other words, although page loading speed is very important for user experience, it may not actually be that important for the actual ranking of your website. It doesn't mean that it's not important though, because it is your user experience is very important too though. So, but here are just some interesting things like the #1 result in Google has an average of 3.8 times more backlinks than positions number 2 through 10. In other words, when other websites link to your website, that is a huge differentiating factor. So if there are some things in order to make your website rank higher, there are things you could do on your own website itself, and there are things that could come from off your website. What I mean to say is there's on-site SEO and there's off-site SEO. On-site means like you're working on the keywords, the titles, the meta descriptions, all that stuff. Off-site means that you're trying to get people to link to your website, and you should do that. That is one of like the biggest factors in being the #1 position is having a lot of links to your website. So you want people to link to your website. In fact, that's something too that you could even ask some of your customers to do. Not only could they write a review for you, but they could even maybe put a link on their website to yours or something, or or write a blog post about thing. I mean, it would help. So just interesting FYI, the average Google first page result contains 1,447 words. So there you go. If your website only has 10 words on it or 100 words, I think you should increase that because usually the higher count of words is preferred. All right. And there are other things in here too, but I'll let you look at this later as you'd like in the slides. But okay, another thing that you can do that is really becoming important more is the authority, whether you are an authority on your subject. And so here are some strategies to become an authority. You want to become an authority in your industry. And one way you can do that is literally like by speaking at conferences or winning awards and recognition. The more you can make a name for yourself in your personal self, your personal brand, and your personal business, like in the industry as being reputable, there are actually search signals that Google uses and detects to figure that out. And then they will increase your rankings accordingly. And this is, again, we're moving more towards this. In other words, I know this is kind of really, it's not so easy to do, but I'm just saying from like a long-term strategy for yourself, the more you can define and establish your authority in this industry, in your industry, that will actually impact your search engine rankings more and more, a little bit more and more and more, because Google is actually paying attention. Who is behind this stuff? And they're trying to reward that. Like, for example, add a little bio to your website, maybe even on every single page. Like, for example, here's like a way to start out small. Like right now, don't be afraid or don't be embarrassed to put your picture and your name on your store. I would actually highly recommend this. Like, this guy here, he's super famous in the SEO community, but so for him, you may think, oh, well, he's justified to put his picture and name on there. And I would say, no, you are too. Even if your business is like brand new, you just started it in October, and you're not famous, don't be embarrassed to put your picture on your website and your name, because it'll help. For one reason, it'll help convey emotional sincerity, and it'll look like you're a real business. Again, people are not going to give you their credit card numbers if they don't trust that you're a real business. And one of the best ways to establish that you're a real business is to have your face and your name, maybe even on every page, just like this guy here, just like this right here, like on the sidebar or something, or at the bottom. I think it's a great thing to do, no matter how big your business is.
And Ryan, we have another question in the chat too. So Kurt said that he's had 2 bloggers write about his products with link to his website, but hasn't seen that count towards follow backlinks, and was wondering why that's not showing up.
Yeah, so it is possible that on the place where they wrote it, either the blogger intentionally or non-intentionally has some code in the link itself that causes the link not to be followed. In other words, it's a technicality. I don't know if, hopefully I can explain this well, but like sometimes you can have a link from one website to the other, but it actually has code in the back end that the user doesn't see that is literally telling Google, don't really pay attention to this link. Don't really value it as like a link to follow. And so Google kind of pays attention to that and does it. So it's something that we would have to look at, and we could do that for you, like on a link by link basis. So maybe you could hit me up afterwards, and we could look at that, send it to me over email, and we could look at that. But it's possible that there was that. Now, and then the other thing I should say is, like, unfortunately, getting 1 or 2 links on small sites is not going to really impact your SEO at all. Unfortunately, it is going to take a lot of work. And the exception is if you get like 1 or 2 links on a really big site, or like a .edu site or a .gov site, that will be good, and that can have a bigger impact. So in other words, it's the quality of the site linking to you as well that matters. All right, some big things coming in the future. We have voice searches are increasingly becoming more popular. This is a great study on voice search and what the impact on SEO is for that. And we also have lots of debates on big data and how big data should be used and stored and all stuff. We have more complexities with GDPR and the California Consumer Privacy Act. Basically, they're trying to protect the customer data, and you should make sure that you do follow those acts. Also too, in fact, even regulations on storing people's credit card data, although this doesn't have anything to do with SEO, I will just tell you, as an e-commerce business, don't store people's credit card data in your in your file system, in your email, or on Google Drive, it's against PCI compliancy, and you may get in trouble for that. And so just don't do that. So the other thing too that's becoming more popular here is image search. This is really cool. I took this picture myself. That's my hand holding up this paper that I bought. I did that, and then I searched on it for Google, and it immediately recognized it. And so, like, look at right here. This is something like it's awesome that you guys could take advantage of. This goes back to having great photos for your products. If you have great photos of your products, like literally the photo itself is something that tells Google what your product is, and that someday, I mean, image search is becoming more popular too, just like voice search. Someone may find your business or your product based on a picture. How about that? I mean, rather than a keyword. I mean, that's a totally different way of thinking about SEO, but this is actually really where we're at. Like, if you get good quality pictures of your products, do put them online, because it already is possible for someone to find your product without ever typing a word, and instead just taking a picture. That's pretty cool. All right. Okay, so let me open it up for any other questions. I see we're just a little bit over, but that's okay. I still have some time.
Ryan, like, we are going to get, we can see this presentation link on the meetup.
Yeah, what I'm going to do, we're going to send out the slide, the link to this slides to our email list. And I think, oh yeah, since you registered for this, I mean, you will, like, we have your email address, and so you will be on that list, and so we'll send that to you. So since you registered for the Zoom, that's where we got it. So in other words, we won't send it out on Meetup, but we will send out the email list, and you should get it. And if you don't, you can contact me. Here.
Perfect. And by when, like, we can expect that link in the email?
I would say within, let's just say for 1 week at the latest. So hopefully maybe we can even get this here in these next few days, but
Okay.
yeah.
Perfect. Thank you, Ryan.
You're welcome. Thank you, Naveen. Any other questions?
No questions. I just want to say this was very helpful information for both my smoothie website and my new e-commerce. So thank you.
Good. Well, thank you for that feedback, Panya. Yeah.
Yeah, appreciate your time, Ryan.
Thank you, Dylan. Appreciate that.
Thank you, Ryan. This was very, very helpful and informative.
And Ryan, when we can expect your next meetups?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Thank you. So we do have to get some scheduled. I'm going to actually work with Carrie at the Commons to do that. And Naveen, actually, did you participate in any of our past meetups on e-commerce? Because we actually did a whole series right before Christmas. And then this was like the last one of that series. And we're going to kind of restart that one.
No, I not participated. So like, anyhow, like, can I get this presentations, like I can view them, so like I can get more knowledge?
Yep. Indeed. Because like in the email we send out, we'll have like recordings of the past ones as well too. So yes.
So can you please send me the links of all those presentations also? So that would be really great of you, Ryan.
Yeah, the links to the past presentations will also be in the email. Yes.
Okay. Thank you, Ryan. Thank you. It was really nice presentation.
Great. I really appreciate that. Thank you. And thank you everyone very much. So we will see you guys maybe next month in some more meetups.
Perfect. Thank you, Ryan. Thanks for your time.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.